From a fallen soldier awakening the disaster within, to a high school student becoming a vessel for a sadistic king of curses, here is when anime main characters awaken their demon powers. Number 7. Asta surpasses his limits, Black Clover. In the heat of battle, Ladros, having absorbed the mighty salamander, stands formidable and menacing. His power is overwhelming, and he relentlessly fires blasts at the determined warrior. Despite the onslaught, Asta remains resolute, refusing to back down. Desperation and determination blend within him as he decides to tap into a power he has never fully unleashed. The Witch Queen's blood magic has removed the limits on his anti-magic. And now, he must channel his energy throughout his body. He stands still, sword in hand, and concentrates. The battlefield quiets as the energy begins to swirl around him, covering part of his body. The transformation is intense and electrifying. Black anti-magic courses through him, forming a demonic horn on the right side of his head. His muscles surge with power, and a black mass envelops his arm. His eyes glow with fierce determination, and his mind clears of all doubt. Asta's form is now a blend of human and demonic energy. His strength and speed magnified immensely. Nothing can stop him now. With a single thought, he rises into the air, the black energy swirling around him, eroding any magic nearby. His focus is razor sharp, every movement precise and purposeful. Ladros, sensing the shift, launches another barrage of attacks, but Asta, letting the demonic power run its course, cuts through the blast effortlessly. As he charges forward, his newly formed demonic wing propels him with incredible speed. Ladros, despite his great power, is no match for this new force of nature. Asta's horned form, radiating with anti-magic, strikes fear into the heart of his foe. With a final, decisive blow, Ladros meets an unfortunate end. Number 6. Yu becomes the Salt King, Seraph of the End. In the midst of a fierce battle, Yuichiro watches as his friend Mika, now gravely injured, is crying for Yu to leave him behind as the enemies approach. The battlefield is a chaotic mix of clashing swords, monstrous creatures, and desperate cries. Despite the pleas from his comrades, Shinoa and the others, to abandon the fight and save himself, he refuses to leave his friend behind. Determined to put an end to the madness, Yuichiro makes a desperate decision. Clutching his sword tightly, he plunges it into his own chest. The blade pierces through, summoning the immense power of Asuramaru. As blood spills, his body begins to change, and an overwhelming surge of energy erupts from within. His transformation is nothing short of apocalyptic. Massive ethereal wings burst from his back, their span wide and imposing. His eyes turn a menacing black, glowing with a fierce yellow light. The ground beneath him trembles as his power reshapes the very air around him. With a deafening roar, he rises as the King of Salts. The sky darkens and an eerie silence falls over the battlefield. Then, with a single sweeping motion, he unleashes his power. Waves of salt surge forth, engulfing everything in their path. Number 5. Amira becomes a demon, Rage of Bahamut. Cornered by a grotesque monstrosity, Favreau Leon finds himself confronted by a towering, sevenfold hybrid of Minotaur and Canine.
Tear him apart, one limb at a time!
He battles the demon relentlessly, chipping away at its massive form. With a daring leap, he manages to plunge his sword into the demon's face, but the beast jerks violently, sending him flying and causing him to lose his weapon. Seeing her guide in mortal peril, Amira knows she must act. Her hat falls off and her pupils expand with a white halo. her eyes radiating a red glow. Favero's demonic armband also glows red as Amira charges toward the towering demon, its fist poised to obliterate her. Dramatic music swells as she meets the demon head-on. Her neon white armor materializes, glowing with pure demonic energy. Wings sprout from her back and she transforms into a high-ranking demon, a death incarnate for the living.
She's a demon?
The once mighty abomination is now insignificant before her. She effortlessly holds it down with a single fingertip. With a flick of her finger, the colossal creature crashes face first into the ground. As it struggles to regain its footing, she moves with blinding speed, delivering a skull-crushing kick followed by a split-second uppercut. The demon's head reels, and a final slap shatters its massive horns. The demon, now broken and unable to stand, succumbs to its wounds and disintegrates. Favero, weakened and barely conscious from the impact, sees Amira approaching. As his vision fades, she gently kisses him, and he slips into unconsciousness. Number 4, Meliodas' Reawakening, 7 Deadly Sins.
No, wait, I've sensed this before. It can't be.
Meliodas, beaten near death by the combined might of Guella and Jericho, finds himself pushed to his limits. The battle is fierce, and despite his immense strength, he's overwhelmed by their explosive attacks, leaving him heavily injured and sealed later by Veronica. As Veronica gets killed by the hands of Jericho and Guella, a mysterious mark begins to spread across the sealed amulet, revealing Meliodas with half of his body clad in dark energy, signaling the awakening of his latent demonic powers. The mark, dark and pulsating with an ominous energy, engulfs him, and his eyes burn with an unholy light. His face loses all expression, resembling a marionette controlled by a sinister power within. This is not just a mere power-up, it's the unleashing of the Wrath State, a form that taps into the deepest wells of his demonic heritage. Reinvigorated and fueled by his newfound power, Meliodas effortlessly defeats both Guella and Jericho. His movements are a blur, his strength unmatched, as he dispatches his foes with a series of devastating blows. The ground trembles under the force of his attacks, and his enemies are left powerless before him.
Perhaps I should reconsider my opinion of you.
Despite Hellbrom's attempts to counter and his ability to draw power from 20 Holy Knights, Meliodas' power continues to grow. His attacks become more ferocious, and the dark energy around him pulses with unrestrained fury. The sheer force of the Wrath State begins to overpower Hellbrom, who realizes that this demonic power is unlike anything he's faced before.
Oh, those black markings moved and protected you, I see.
Number 3, Ichigos' Desperation, Bleach.
I will protect you!
The battle in Hueco Mundo reaches a desperate peak. Ichigo Kurosaki's limp body is dropped to the ground by the relentless Espada Ulquiorra Cypher, leaving Orihime Inoue in a state of panic. She tries to heal him, but Ulquiorra coldly declares it futile. Meanwhile, Uryu Ishida attempts a futile attack, only to be quickly overpowered and severely injured. As despair sets in and Ulquiorra begins to sever all hope, Orihime cries out for Ichigo's help, her voice echoing with desperation. Suddenly, his arm twitches, his hair begins to grow longer, and an ominous power stirs within him. Rising to his feet, he is no longer the same. His appearance is transformed with a new hollow mask adorned with long horns. Ulquiorra, shocked and bewildered by Ichigo's revival, demands to know his identity, but the transformed warrior answers with a primal roar, summoning his sword Sengetsu to his hand without touching it. Words are now meaningless. Ulquiorra fires a devastating Sero, but it is effortlessly countered by a more potent Sero from the transformed Ichigo. Stunned by the sheer power, Ulquiorra struggles to comprehend how a human could release such. Ichigo, moving with blinding speed, appears behind him and effortlessly severs his left arm. Ulquiorra regenerates the limb instantly, a unique ability among his kind, and resorts to his most powerful attack, Lanza del Relampago.
Lanza del Relampago.
As the battle intensifies, Ulquiorra's attacks miss their mark, and the now maddened Ichigo uses incredible speed to close the distance. Throwing the severed arm back at Ulquiorra, he breaks the Spear of Light and unleashes a series of devastating attacks, slicing Ulquiorra down the torso and slamming him into the ground. Ichigo stands victorious. With his foot on Ulquiorra's head, he begins to charge a deadly Sero, embodying the merciless nature of a true demon. Ulquiorra, now mortally wounded, accepts his defeat and laments his fate. The unrestrained Ichigo charges another attack, and Ulquiorra, now reduced to a tattered shell, is tossed aside as Ichigo prepares to deliver the final blow. Number 2, Sukuna takes over, Jujutsu Kaisen. During a mission, Satoru Gojo, the strongest sorcerer, arrives after the cursed spirits have been exorcised. He examines the young man, Yuji Itadori, now a vessel for the King of Curses, Ryomen Sukuna, and asks him to switch to Sukuna for 10 seconds. Reluctantly, Yuji agrees. His body transforms as cursed demonic tattoos spread across his skin, and a malevolent aura fills the air. Sukuna has taken over, and his presence is overwhelming.
Right home. Look out! Kikufuku's just the best.
Seizing the moment, Sukuna lunges at Gojo. Gojo swiftly counters, appearing behind Sukuna with incredible speed and knocking him down with a powerful blow. Gojo comments on how troublesome sorcerers have always been. Sukuna retaliates by breaking the ground and sending a shockwave of rubble at Gojo. Confident in his attack, Sukuna believes he has landed a hit. However, as the dust settles, Gojo stands unscathed, effortlessly levitating the debris away. The seconds tick by, and just before Sukuna can unleash more chaos, Yuji regains control. The cursed tattoos fade, and Yuji's ordinary appearance returns, much to Sukuna's frustration. He snarls as his control slips away, defeated once again by Gojo. Number 1, Akida Fudo with Amon's power, Devilman Crybaby. The moment of transformation is a harrowing scene of desperation and chaos. Akida Fudo races to save his friend, who is desperately firing bullets at the devil swarming around them. As he runs, the world slows down, and he questions his own worth and the futility of his actions. Despite his fears, he pushes forward, driven by a sense of duty. Just as the devil's enormous jaws are about to engulf him, time seems to stand still. In this critical moment, he feels his consciousness slip away, surrendering to the darkness within. His body erupts in a violent transformation. Muscles expand grotesquely, hair grows wild, and his form contorts into a monstrous being. With a primal roar, he grabs the devil's jaws and tears them apart with sheer brute force. The timid boy Akira is gone, replaced by a fearsome creature. He is now a being of pure rage and power, a devil in every sense. Massive horns sprout from his head, and his eyes burn with an unholy light. Unleashing his fury, he becomes an unstoppable force. He slaughters the devils around him with ruthless efficiency, creating a nightmarish scene of blood and carnage. His friend watches in horror, realizing the enormity of what has been unleashed. The creature, once a friend, is now the most powerful and terrifying devil in the world. The battlefield is drenched in blood as Akira decimates his foes, not caring who stands in his way.